Welcome back. Here we are at part 4 of an interview with Jennifer Jones. And have I told you lately how good looking and smart and witty you are? Wow, I have gotten so many fascinating questions over the last few weeks, and we'll do our best to make our way through them. And if not, we'll just keep talking. And again, I would like to tell you that I'll respect your time. We'll keep these between 5 and 7 minutes long. And hey, if you got nothing better to do other than binge watch Netflix, how about binge watching an interview with Jennifer Jones? So let's get right into this week's questions. We're getting into some writing questions this week, which is a lot of fun. But ask away, ask me anything. So, first question: what is your most important advice to aspiring writers? And what I would definitely say, the first thing that comes to mind is to participate in National Novel Writing Month. NaNoWriMo, as it's affectionately called, is free. It happens every November, and you can just Google National Novel Writing Month. And it's so much fun. The goal is to write 50,000 words in 30 days in the month of November. And there's a very supportive community of people all over the world. I mean, they call it national, but it's actually international, of people writing their stories. And the fun part about it is that you don't censor yourself. You just let her rip. And it's really a fun way to get started. So that's the number one thing that I would recommend to anyone that wants to just wet their feet, to get out there, to get started. Definitely participate in NaNoWriMo and you'll be hooked. Okay, next question. Do you have any writing book recommendations? You know, there are a ton of books out there, and there's a ton of podcasts, and there's so much information, and it's easy to become overwhelmed. It's really easy to just, go to the library. Gosh, I sound so old, but I love the library. Go to, wherever you go, Amazon.com, to get your books and just come out with stacks and stacks of writing advice books. And I think it's better personally to just find a teacher that you like, a writing teacher or a writing book, and kind of hone in on that, because it's easy to get confused. A couple that I really like are, now this is not necessarily a writing advice book, but it is fascinating relative to the science of storytelling. And it's called Wired for Story by Lisa Cron, I think you pronounce it, Cron. And she talks about the importance of stories in our lives. And this is a subject that I'm really passionate about because, stories are entertainment and stories are a way for us to escape. But when you read that book, you'll find out that there's so much more going on. Stories are actually really important to our survival as a species, because if you didn't have somebody telling you a story about, my uncle Fred that ate those poisonous berries and you won't believe what happened to him, we would die. So her book, Wired for Story, talks a lot about how important stories are as just a medium, and it's fun. That's a fun book. It's not really a writing advice book. But, there's a podcast that I really like. It's called How Story Works by Lonnie Diane Rich. And she walks through, real basics as far as 3-act structure, what creates a good character, what creates a good villain, how to create conflict, and I really like her work, so I would check out How Story Works by Lonnie Diane Rich. Okay, next writing question is, how do you overcome writer's block? I don't believe in it. I don't really think that writer's block is a thing because, believe it or not, writing is a job, and it's a fun job. It maybe is not the most glamorous like people think it is, because I'm not going to tell you this, you didn't hear it from me, but I might sometimes sit down in my pajamas at my desk and start typing and writing my story. But what I have found that works is that if I sit at my desk between 1 and 4 every day, my muse will find me, and my muse will know that I'm serious and that I'm there. And that takes care of all writer's block. You know, if you're willing to sit down and just show up at a pre-designated time, ideally, then you will never have that problem. You'll never have writer's block. And I think that there's just so many stories. I mean, there's just it's not in getting ideas, it's in being able to actually write all the ideas down. So, another thing that works really good too, if you are feeling stuck, if you want to write and you're feeling stuck, is writing prompts. And there's tons of books, and just type in writing prompts onto the internet and you'll find more information that you'd ever want to know. And they're just kind of ways to get the creative juices going and to get your creativity flowing, and those work really well too. Next question. When do you write? What's your process? So, I like to write in the afternoon. A lot of writers that I know, they get up early in the morning and they bang out their word count and they write in the morning, and they just feel like they're more creative. I'm a morning person and I don't write in the morning. I mean, I've got to have my cup of joe in the morning and open my eyes. And I have actually kind of a routine that I follow where I exercise in the morning. I'll either surf, or I'll run, or I'll hike, or I'll go to yoga class, or, I'll do something. And while I'm doing those things, my creative brain starts working and starts going and starts thinking. And then by the time I sit down at my desk, usually around 1 in the afternoon or so, I'm just ready, and I'm really excited and overflowing with ideas. So I write in the afternoon. Next question. Are you a plotter, or do you just sit down and start typing? I am definitely a plotter. And let me tell you this, I learned through revision hell that I am a plotter. So I used to do the Stephen King thing of sitting down. He's like the most famous fly by the seat of their pants, as they call it, a pantser. He kind of made that famous, that Stephen King sits down at a typewriter with an idea and just lets the characters tell him the story, which works for him. And I found that it also leads to a lot of revision. So I'm very detailed. I research, I create collages with pictures of my characters, I create a playlist of music, I have a structured outline of what's going to happen in the story. And I definitely am one of those people that have found that it makes my process so much easier. But then I've also found my writing friends, people that don't work that way, they just cannot plot, they can't outline. So if that doesn't work for you, don't do it. And looking at the time, I see that we're already over 8 minutes. So I'm going to let you guys go. And I am going to invite you to go back to the email, hit reply, and give me more questions if you have them. Whatever your burning questions are, I am having a ton of fun with this. The links to the books are all in the email, so check those out. And I will see all of you next week. I cannot wait. I love you guys, and thank you for being part of my world.